Hello, bookworms, bibliophiles, and lovers of all things literature. Welcome to the Prologue of the Braless Book Guild podcast, where we discard our bras and open the cover to talk about books both published and unpublished. We are your hosts, Jenna, Marissa, hello, and Megan.
Hi.
Before we get started, let's talk about what we're drinking, guys.
All right. Well, I am drinking what is called Quoth the Raven. It is a Earl Grey, vanilla, and blackberry tea.
I am drinking the Bilbo's Breakfast brew, but it's in a fog style. And it is from the same recipe book as the Quoth the Raven. I think it's called the Literary Tea Party or something, and it had recipes in it, so we made some.
I also have one from there, but I'm not drinking it today. I'm actually drinking an apple pie chai. I'm doing it fog style as well, but it's iced. I'm going a little cold today.
Which is a smart idea, because it's not a very cold day.
Right, that's true.
I do wish mine was iced as well.
Yeah,
but
I'm
next time.
barely sipping mine right now.
Okay, so the idea with this podcast, we are going to kind of delve into books and topics of the books. But before we get into what we really do with this podcast, I thought we should start with how we started the podcast. And since it officially started with Megan, I think she should start the story.
So basically, I was living in Korea and decided I wanted to get a book subscription box because it was very difficult to get books there. So I messaged Jenna. I was like, hey, Jenna, you like to read, right? You should definitely get this book box with me and we could talk about the books. And Jenna was like, heck yes. When we did our first ever meeting of like via Skype or something, I was just like, hey, by the way, I'm not wearing a bra just because I want to be comfortable. And then you're just like, me neither. And so, yeah, we got our first book. We talked about it. And then a couple months later, Marissa joined.
I brought Marissa in because she's my little sister and we share everything, including books. And essentially, I just suckered her into getting this book subscription box as well.
If I remember it correctly, I think you were reading something and you were on like a Skype call or something like that with Megan. And I was just happened to be there, so I was like, oh, hi, Megan. And then you guys started talking, we just kind of all fell into it. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll get the subscription too.
What happened was the next box that was coming out was a steampunk one.
Oh, yeah.
And so we were, Jenna, I think, said something like, oh, Marissa loves steampunk. This would be your book box, basically.
Yes.
Do I remember the book that came with that box now?
I think it was a Peter Pan one, too. And me and Marissa, for her 18th birthday, got Peter Pan quotes tattooed onto us. So it's kind of been our thing, our Peter Pan and fairy tale retellings and Disney stuff. So it was like 2 for 2. So we talked her into it with that book.
Yeah.
and then we kind of all took off from there. So we've known each other for years, and yeah, we've kind of just decided that we should all sit here and make you guys listen to us talk about books.
I mean, that's all I want to do every day. So doesn't everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah, really? This is just an excuse for all of us to get together and officially talk about books. Like, we have to make time for it. But, recording it, and maybe other people will want to listen.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I thought the best way to get started would be to kind of let everyone know what we like and like what kind of books we're into so that they can kind of maybe get an idea of what kind of books we're going to be talking about. Although I'm sure that this will not at all narrow down what we talk about because we like a lot of various things. But just some of our favorites, overall favorites. Marissa, do you want to start with some of your favorites? Favorite authors, favorite books, favorite series?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many of them, obviously. And like you said, it's a huge variety. So just trying to narrow it down to like, this is my favorite author or something like that is very difficult. You guys all know that one of my absolute favorites is Gail Carriger and her Parasol Protectorate series and that entire universe, really.
Yeah, those books are fantastic.
But yeah, so basically Jenna made a comment one time with Gail Carriger, like a book came out, and she's like, the only time I ever really see Marissa happy is when a new Gail Carriger book comes out. Yeah, so that's one of them. I love Kurt Vonnegut is a good one too. One of the books when I was thinking about like my favorites and what I would say during this podcast, I realized one of the books I've read over and over a lot is a book called Lies We Tell Ourselves by Robin Talley. I remember the first time I read it in one night, and I've read it at least like 2 or 3 times after that, so I gotta put it on the list too.
I want to say we were living together when you read that book, because I'm pretty sure the next morning you like handed it to me and was like, I need you to read this so we can talk about it. It was one of those books that you were like, look, I need someone else to read this book so we can talk about this.
Yeah.
It was a really good one. I highly recommend it.
I will be adding it to my list.
Yeah, I have it in my room, so before you leave, let's make sure I grab that for you.
All right, Megan, what are some of your favorites?
So I'm mostly young adult fantasy. I really like Garth Nix. He's my all-time favorite author. His series, the Old Kingdom series, basically anything he writes is also good. But the Old Kingdom series has just been with me since I was like 12, and that's one that I will always go back to and reread. And I just love the characters so much. Going off of like what Marissa said, one of my all-time favorite books that I constantly read every year is The Scorpio Races by Maggie Stiefvater. It starts on November 1st. I pull it out every year and I restart it because the first line is, "It is the 1st of November, and so someone must die." And that just like...
That's a strong first line.
It's a really good
great first line.
I actually gave it to Jenna for Christmas last year.
I was going to say, I have it on my to-be-read book list, so now I know when I'm going to start it.
How about you, Jenna?
I feel like my favorites are definitely fantasy, young adult to new adult. I don't shy away from like spicy books necessarily. I'm definitely here for the romance. If it has a strong romance, I can get it behind it. When I started growing up, it was like a lot of mystery romance, which I liked. And then I got into fantasy and just kind of never came back since. Yeah, I love Cassandra Clare. Marissa and I have talked about how, like, I know exactly the way these books are going to go. The trilogies. I know how I'm going to leave off on a cliffhanger. I know the way the romance is going to go. But it doesn't stop me from enjoying it every time. And she is one of the only authors that has done both a love triangle, which is an actual triangle. All three parties are interested in each other. So a polyamorous relationship, well. And also a love angle, where two men are interested in the woman, and it goes well, and I like it. I like the way she does it, which I don't usually like those tropes. So she's for sure one of my favorites. I love Sabah Tahir and her Ember in the Ashes series. She's one of my favorites. And then Renee Ahdieh, The Wrath and the Dawn, one of my favorite book series. But I also like The Flame in the Mist. And all of her books are so unique and have such a cool world-building experience.
I would be sad if I don't mention, because I'm pretty sure I'm going to be one of the only people that mentions this on the podcast, but I also enjoy poetry. So, and I know it's not Megan's.
I do not like poetry.
But for all my people out there that do like poetry, my biggest recommendation right now is Nikita Gill, because she's got just some of the best poetry books that I've ever read. I think right now my favorite of hers is I think it's called Great Goddesses or something like that, and it's all to do about mythology, but like a nice tie-in to humanity as well.
So I'm totally going to use that as a segue into, we were talking about what like house in Harry Potter we fall into, and what faction, district in camp. And you said Greek goddesses, so I think that we're going to start with the camps from Percy Jackson. Which camp would you guys fall into?
I've never read Percy Jackson, so I don't know what it necessarily means, but I know the gods, so I know kind of what it means. But I found out that I would be in Ares' cabin.
Oh, Ares.
Yeah.
Well, fun fact, Percy Jackson show is coming out soon, so...
Yeah.
I also haven't read it, so I will need to read it. But I have seen the movie, so that kind of counts-ish. I have a little bit better of an idea.
Well, the movie is garbage, so...
Yeah.
I was actually really shocked by this because I thought I would also be Poseidon, but I am actually Athena, so I'm a part of the Athena cabin.
Oh, I'm jealous.
I'm part of Hades.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, I was part of the Hades, and Athena was actually my second. It like tells you like the first and then the second, and Athena was my second
as well.
Yeah,
I was Demeter.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got Hades and Athena. Our Harry Potter houses can come next. I'm a Slytherin.
I am also a Slytherin.
I'm a Ravenclaw, which also matches because Ravenclaw and Athena work well together.
Yeah.
Hades and Slytherin kind of work
true.
well together.
Well, you know what made me realize I was definitely a Slytherin was when I was taking the Pottermore quiz, and the entire time, like, I'd be happy with anything as long as it's not Gryffindor. And I'm like, what's more Slytherin than that?
Gryffindor's
true.
overrated.
Gryffindor is so overrated. And yeah, I think that's also probably what put the nail in the coffin of Slytherin for me as well. Which is funny because I think that my husband would either be a Gryffindor or a Hufflepuff.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know if there could be a more opposite match for a Slytherin / Ravenclaw-esque.
It's the enemies to lover.
Yeah. Oh, we got that going. The opposites attract.
Yes.
That's pretty awesome, actually.
Okay, so what about our divergent factions?
That one surprised me, actually, which I don't think would actually be. So, okay, I gotta ask you guys, what do you think mine was?
I would have said Divergent. No, not Divergent. What's the one where they like
Dauntless?
Dauntless, yeah.
What would you say?
I would probably say Erudite.
It was neither of those. And you know what? I thought you might have guessed mine when I got it, and then I thought about it a bit more. I got Candor.
Oh, I
okay.
could see
Remind me what Candor is, because
Candor is the truthful one.
Ah.
So you're always speaking the truth. And the reason why I thought Jenna might guess that is because she made a comment one time to me that was like, I wish I could be as blunt as you are.
That's totally true. Now that you say it, it actually kind of fits for you completely. What about you, Megan?
I got Abnegation?
Yeah.
Abnegation.
Abnegation.
I read Divergent forever ago. What was it, 2017? 2018 maybe? So I don't even remember. I only read the first one, so I don't remember. I saw the movie, but
That's fine.
I
First
don't
one was
remember.
good.
That's the one where they're like, you're the quiet one. You're like the one who focuses on others. And I'm just like, really? Because I'm like the most outgoing person.
Yeah, I wouldn't call you quiet.
I don't think it's necessarily quiet. Like, I mean, it is quiet, but it's more about selflessness.
Oh, okay.
Is what it is. You help others over yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, it's more like self-sacrificing.
Oh, interesting.
I got Erudite, which is ironic also because
what was that
they're
one?
pretty much the bad guys.
They're the ones that are intelligence based.
They focus on knowledge, and I think probably because I was like books and more books, and they were like, oh, you're obviously a Erudite, and then I was like, okay, Slytherin, Hades, Erudite. I'm starting to look really bad here, guys.
You're turning into the villain.
All right. And what was the other one that we had?
We had Grisha.
Yes, the Grishaverse. So which Grisha would you have been in?
Can I make a little side tangent really quickly? I saw somebody who's Russian talk about that book and how funny the word Grisha is because it's basically the name Greg in Russian. And so every time they hear it, they just hear like, "Oh, my Uncle Greg."
So what Greg are you?
So my Greg, I am, what is it called? Inferni or something like that? The fire one.
I am also Inferni.
Yeah.
I'm a Corporalaki. I'm short. Corporalki.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a long word.
Anytime I read them in the books, I was like,
Corporalki. I'm a Heartrender.
Oh,
so,
okay, yeah,
which was Nina, and I loved Nina.
Nina's
so
the best.
even
Nina
though
is the
I think Inej was my favorite, but Nina was right up there with her. Like Inej and Nina together would have a book about the two of them. I would read that over and over again.
Once again, like what you were saying with the you kept picking books. That was mine. I was like, I kept picking stuff like fire. I'm like, I'm gonna get the fire one.
It's so obvious, right?
Yeah.
That quiz was, even though it's like technically from the official website,
Yeah.
it was so obvious. Like, what element would you be?
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
That's 100% how I feel about every Harry Potter one.
Oh, literally.
But it's still fun. I will say I could not guess some of the ones that they asked us for camps for Percy Jackson.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure which ones were leading to which. And then for
Well,
I was gonna say I think some of the Grisha ones was
Grisha
the ones that
felt
it was like
obvious.
I couldn't. Some of them
the
were
other
obvious,
one we
but
did
some
was
of them
the
weren't.
Hunger Games, the district ones.
Yeah, the district for Hunger Games. I got District 8, which I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember what any of these.
I didn't. I had to go look it up as well, and I think we got 8 as well,
Yeah,
right?
We all got 8.
Yeah.
They're like,
And it's like,
look.
I don't know. It's the textile one, is what they said.
okay.
So I'm like, okay, so
You're-
it's somewhere in the middle.
You're not cocky, so you're not in one, but you're not completely poor.
Yeah,
Yes.
You're
exactly.
not 100% poverty, so you're not just...
You're middle class.
Yeah.
So you end up right here. That's funny that we all ended up with 8.
Yeah.
But it's not surprising to me. 8 shows up in my life all the time. So I was like,
That's my number
shocking.
2.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
That's so perfect.
Yeah, not mine.
Yeah, it's not my favorite number. It's just the one that ends up in my life all the time. That and 3s.
I would say 3s are the ones that end up in my life all the time.
So we kind of went over favorite authors and like series from the authors. I'd kind of like to kind of jump into like favorite books, ones that you think that you're going to recommend over and over and over again. Like talk about them, talk about what you love about them, and then we can kind of get a better idea of what your kind of niche is, what you like about these books. So Marissa, what's your favorite?
Oh, put me on the spot, okay? I don't know. It's so... Okay, I'm gonna say something controversial here. Not really
Poetry.
controversial. No. No, it's so one of my favorite books that I've read would be Good Omens.
Oh, yeah.
I love it.
I don't like the series though. The TV
Oh,
series.
the TV series.
Yeah. And it's not because it's a bad TV series. It's just one of those, like, the classic thing that happens when you read a book and you watch an adaptation. And you're like, that's not how I pictured it. It's one of those things. But the book was so good and hit so many, like, it hit me intellectually. It hit me comedically. It was just felt like something that stimulated my brain while also being an easy book to read.
See, that's so interesting for me because I started that one and I don't think the humor of it meshed well with me as well, because I read, I think, like the first 50 pages and I was just like, I just don't get it. I don't get it. I don't see this funny. Is it like joking? And I wasn't sure, but I do want to give it another go though.
Neil Gaiman is one of those authors that I want to read so bad that I've bought so many of his books and they sit on my to be read pile, but I'm so intimidated by them. But Marissa's told me that she likes this book and it's literally sat on my to be read pile for forever because I'm like, it's going to be good. I know it's going to be good, but I have to be in a certain mindset for these type of books. I bought Good Omens. I bought Neverwhere. Like anytime I see one of his books, I'm like, I should probably buy that.
But yeah, that's going to be my recommendation right now.
Your first recommendation.
Yeah.
Let's curious.
My first one, you know what? I'm going to go with The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston.
That's also on one of my lists.
Yeah,
I
it's
love
so
that
good.
book.
It just came out last year. Yeah, I just love it because it made me cry like 5 times, but they were all like both a mix of happy tears and sad tears. It was just a very beautifully written book that dealt with like death and coming to terms with that and love and romance with a ghost, I guess. But yeah, that's my recommendation. I really love that book.
That was such a good book, and I have to go into I explained it to Marissa because it's hard for Marissa and I to find books that we really truly love together because I'm very much into the romance and I like heterosexual romances, although I'm not opposed to reading bisexual or gay, and I usually like them on my side characters. But Marissa prefers lesbian romances. But I was like, look, you have to get past this because it is a heterosexual romance, but everything about this book is so good. And so it's one of those ones I keep recommending to her because it has like something about a rom-com mixed with like Addams Family vibes.
Right, exactly.
And it's like, there's so many quirky, fun characters and it's amazing. And I do have to say, like, that was the first book I've read by her. I've never actually read any of her other books, and I just recently listened to her Geekerella series on audiobook. I did it through Libby, and I really enjoyed those too. Those were fun, and I was surprised by how much I liked her writing. But for me, I'd always recommend this to almost everyone. I think the Ember and the Ashes series is one of the ones that I always recommend to people because it's from 3 different perspectives, and all 3 of them have such unique ways of looking at the world that she's built and have very different like outlooks on it, but none of them are wrong and none of them are right completely. So I like getting those different perspectives, and there is romance, and I'm also a sucker for like anything with Jinn or Genie or, you know, the Middle Eastern kind of influence there. So I loved that. I loved that series.
Yeah, that series is so good. And that's the one that like the character growth from the first book to the 4th one is just, it's absolutely
amazing.
Astonishing how much they change and how much they like just grow as characters, and then how they help each other to grow as characters. But it's so convoluted because there's 4 books and there's so much that happens in it. I could not tell you what happens except that like, here's the beginning and here's the end.
Yes, there's so much between it and so much that happens. And every time, it like rips your heart out. And I started it, and I think the first 2 books were out, and I did not realize it was going to be a 4-book series. And so I was like, okay, it's fine. The 3rd book's coming out soon. I'll be able to finish it. And then
the
get like the last like 100 pages. I'm going, oh no. And then the ending, and I was like, there's another book. There's another one that I have to wait.
Especially the ending of the 3rd one.
Oh my
was
gosh.
such a huge cliffhanger. Probably one of the biggest cliffhangers I've ever experienced in books.
Yes.
That I was just like, I don't know how she's going to write another book on this.
Right.
How is she going to end this?
Right. It was amazing. And I love that book so much that I even named my firstborn, my only child at the moment, after Elias, the main character. So I have a little Elias because I loved that book so much, and I loved the name, and it was perfect.
It is perfect.
It's a perfect book. But yeah, that's for sure one of my favorites.
Hold on, I'm gonna have Megan start this one out because I gotta narrow it down. And now I'm gonna put her on the spot because I don't think that's fair.
Okay, I am so ready for this recommendation. This is a book I read last year as well, along with The Dead Romantics, and that is The 10,000 Doors of January. And that was one where in my book planner I have like a ranking of your favorite book of each month, and then you like rank them as the year goes on, and then by the end of the year you have your like favorites. So it's like a tiered thing. And I read that in January, and I was like, well, nothing else is going to compare. And it ended up being my favorite book. And that is one where not only was the writing beautiful, but the characters were also just so well fleshed out, and that I was rooting for everybody. And I just loved the like way the story was written. I don't know. I just literally loved everything about this. And everyone I've talked to who has read that book has absolutely loved it. So
that book, I think I even wrote in like my review on Goodreads about it. Like, it's a love story to people who love books and
really
love
is.
stories.
It's really
not,
is.
it's so beautifully written. And it's one of those books that I don't want to talk about anything in depth on it, because the best part about reading that book was that I didn't know much going into it. And then as I read it, it was like I just fell into this world of like stories and books, and it was like a love story to all of us literary people out there.
It really is, honestly. And yeah, that's how I live my life. Is I never read any blurbs or any the inside of the dust jacket or the back of the book. I always go into books knowing absolutely nothing unless it's recommended. Then I'm like, oh, Fourth Wing has dragons in it. I'm sold.
I don't know how you could live that way, because all I do is read the back of books. Like, I go to the bookstore and just pick up, and I'm like, oh, this sounds interesting, and this sounds interesting, and this sounds interesting. But I do have the ones that are like usually recommended. Like Fourth Wing, I actually didn't know anything about that going in, except for that it had dragons and that people couldn't stop talking about it.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's all I knew about the book, and I didn't read it. So if it's highly recommended, I guess that's when I don't read the blurbs. I'm torn, and it's funny because they're very different series, but they're the series that I've read multiple times. And if I can read a book multiple times, that's usually the ones that I'll recommend. That's both The Court of Thorn and Roses by Sarah J. Maas, which is funny because I don't necessarily love all of her books, but I just love that series. And I think I love it so much because it tackles trauma. And I like how she wrote trauma and how it affects different people. And she just does a really good job of like delving into the effects of trauma on our bodies and how we all process it differently, and how us processing it could hurt or help others that are going through trauma too. So I love that book and I love that series. And I do love the love story. But then my other option would have been the Lunar Chronicles, which I feel is a completely different side. But I can read those books over and over and over again and still enjoy them. And I know what's going to happen and I know what's coming and I don't care. I love everything about them. I love fairy tale retellings. I love all of it. So those would probably be my two choices on recommendations.
I mean, if we went to the like over and over, I already said it was Lies We Tell Ourselves is the one I read over and over and over again. And I still would read it again once I get in that mood, because it's one of those like it deals with prejudice, gives you both sides of the story type thing, and it's really well written and really quick to read if you read quickly. That sounded redundant, but you know what I mean. It's not one of those things where you have to take your time to learn everything. You can just sit down and read it and finish it in a day if you wanted to. But the other one, and I think it's one that we all talked about, before was Night Circus.
Oh,
The Night
love the Night
Circus.
Circus.
Night Circus was one of those, and that's one of those things that I thought about when you talked about it's hard for us to find books because you love the romance in the books, and a lot of the romances you love is heterosexual. So the heterosexual romance, but the rest of the book, like, I mean, even the romance was really good from my perspective too, but the rest of the book was just so, like, magical.
It really
In
was.
a literal and figurative sense.
It really was, yeah.
I was like, that was something that I really loved and I would recommend to people.
That book was so funny because it was one of those books I saw in Target all the time.
Yeah.
You're just walking by Target. I'm like, oh, that looks so cool. But, like, to be honest, I'm just not picking up books at Target. I'm not thinking, like, that's going to be the top favorite
Right.
book is the book that's I randomly see in Target all the time. And then I saw, like, a post about underrated books, and that, like, kept coming up on posts about stuff like that. And I was like, okay, I'm giving it a go. I've seen it at Target. I thought it looked cool. I'm going to buy it. And then I bought it, and I was like, oh my God, everyone in my life must read this book. And I, like, gave it to Marissa first, and then my mom, and then it's like, I couldn't stop recommending that book. So, Marissa, that's a good one.
I had the same thing where I kept seeing it and I would pick it up and I would read the inside cover and I'd go, oh, it's a heterosexual romance, and I'd put it down and walk away. And I'm like, I'm not in here to read a heterosexual romance, but if it's got other things going for it, yeah, definitely. But like when you read it, it just sounds like a heterosexual romance book. And I'm like, whatever. And then Jenna went and bought it, read it, and she's like, no, it's better than that.
It's funny because the fact that you don't read blurbs is probably what saved that book. Like, reading the blurb, it was like, okay, it just sounds fine. But then when you read it, you're like, oh my God.
When you both recommend me books at the same time, you're just like, oh my God, Megan, you have to read this. Because for my birthday that one year that you guys got it for me, you got me Soulless by Gail Carriger.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got me The Night Circus. And I was like, okay, I'll start The Night Circus. And I started The Night Circus. And then I flew from here back to Korea. And I had only read 50 pages. And then I was just reading it on the plane. And then I'd be like, okay, I should take a nap. And then I tried to sleep a little bit. But I kept thinking about the book. And I was like, okay, I'll read just a little bit more. So then I read it. And then I was like, the rest of the entire 12-hour flight, I was like just reading that entire book. And I read it all, and it was so beautiful. It made my like heart ache in like that way that books sometimes do when they're just so wonderful, and you just instantly know it's like an automatic favorite. It had the slowest burn ever.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was
Oh my
like
gosh.
over decades, but it was so good. And I even had my mom read it just this year, actually, and she was just like, why is this one of your favorite books? And I was like, it's not for everybody.
Yeah.
It's funny because it was one of those ones that I handed off to like everyone in my life too. I'm like, my mom, here, read this. My brother, here, read this. My mom's husband, here, read this. Like, it was one of those ones. I'm like, please, someone, you have to find like, it's a little bit of magic in there for everyone. Everyone has to enjoy this.
Yeah.
I think I have 3 special edition copies. I have a first edition. I have the Illumicrate version. I have the paperback that you guys gave me for the very first time. I think I have 3. So they're not all special edition, but I have 3 versions of it.
Yeah.
I love it so much. It's so beautiful.
It's definitely one of my favorites. Its writing style, and 10,000 Doors of January are like the top writing styles I've ever read that I like can completely you just almost have to close the book to just savor it for a minute, the way they like worded certain things. Yeah.
I do think that those 2 are like next level. I would also add in like similar to that, like next level is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue.
Yes.
Like those 3 to me are so descriptively beautiful, like almost achingly beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's funny because I read The 10,000 Doors of January directly after reading The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. And I remember finishing and I'm going, what do I read next? Like, I just like went through this whole like immersive book experience and I just didn't know where to go with it. And then I think that I had a really hard time, and it was the year that I had bought the same planner that you have.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't know where to go, and I had all these books that I needed to fill this planner up with, and I think I took like a 2-week break from reading because I just didn't know how to jump back in.
A book hangover.
Yes.
Yep. It's rough.
And then I actually like decided, because I think I didn't read through the rest of January. I think I couldn't do it. And then February, I was like, I just need something super easy to read to just get me back into reading. So I decided for February, for Valentine's Day, I was just going to read all the rom-coms. So like the super easy books that you can just pick up, read it, and then like not really think about it again. I read like Love Theoretically.
Oh yeah.
I read The Spanish Love Deception, like all of those like easy rom-com books just to like get me out of that book hangover. Since this is kind of an origin thing, we could talk about what got us into reading and why we enjoy reading, where our love for literature came from.
Jump into origin stories.
Yeah, since this is our origin.
My origin of what got me into reading. For a long time, I was trying to think about it, and I was like my life was flashing before my eyes in reverse type thing, but literally.
Hey.
So at first I'd think like, oh, Jenna was the one that got me into reading because she gave me books like Twilight when that first came out, and Harry Potter when Mom started reading it, and so I started reading it. And then I'm like, even before that, like you got me into Maximum Ride by James Patterson.
Oh my god, Maximum Ride, that's a big flashback.
Right?
Yes.
Oh man. But I mean, honestly, the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, it wasn't just Jenna that got me into it. Because for a long time, I had that identity crisis of I thought, oh, I was just copying Jenna. But like, even as a very young kid, I read those Geronimo Stilton books that you'd read in like 4th or 5th grade or something like that I really loved and got into, and like Magic School Bus and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I liked reading even before Jenna got me into it with all of her books.
I just fed your addiction.
Yeah.
It really is.
It is. It's a problem. I'm Marissa's older sister, so obviously she got all my hand-me-downs. My mom says that I've been reading since I was 18 months old. She always like jokes about it, and like, you know, my brother was born and he's 18 months younger than me, and I'd go up to his little onesie, B-A-B-Y baby, B-A-B-Y baby. And so she says that like as soon as I saw letters and figured out they went together, that's when it started for me. And I don't know if my mom like talking about that all the time just like solidified it in my head, like you are going to be a reader. But I prioritized books over friends. I was the weirdo through most of like elementary school who like recess came and I'm sitting against the wall with my book. And if I didn't have a book, I was in the library getting a book. And it's like, Jenna just wanted to read. From the get-go. When they had like silent reading time, I'm like, yes, I'm reading under my desk while trying to do algebra, and other people, I'm like, I always had a book in my hands. So I think it's just been a forever thing for me.
I was told when I was young that Jenna started school early because she wanted to read more.
Yes, my mom likes to tell the story that in kindergarten, after my first week of kindergarten, she came home and she goes, so how was your first week of school, baby? And I was like, ugh, I've been in school a really long time and I still cannot read. Like, I was devastated. What are they doing? Wasting my time, not teaching me how to read books. Like, I've always wanted to read.
It's meant to be.
It's meant to be. It's my thing.
Your destiny right here. Yeah, I don't remember ever, I just remember always reading as well.
Yeah.
Not to the point that you were. Like, I still played on the swings at recess and stuff, but I always loved reading. I think what really got me into it was, as I mentioned kind of earlier, Garth Nix, solidified that so much, especially because back in our day, mine and Jenna's day, there weren't that many, female protagonists in, books, outside of Tamora Pierce and stuff. So Garth Nix's Sabriel series, the Old Kingdom series, has Sabriel, who's a main character, as a female and stuff. And I was just like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that until later, but I would always go for, the books that did have, the main character as a girl, but, still kicked butt and, wasn't just a princess who sat there and waited for Prince Charming to come. But, yeah, I always just remember reading, and that's how I knew that you loved reading as well. And I was like, Jenna, join me. But, yeah, I don't ever remember specifically, being like, yes, this is when it started.
Yeah.
It's always just been there.
Yeah, I get told more about my reading starting than actually remembering reading. But it was one of those things where they do us a disservice. They tell us you can be anything when you grow up. And I'm like, look, I don't want to be anything. I want to be everything. So when I read, I can be everything.
Exactly.
I can be whatever character I'm reading about. And I don't have to make a decision and go to college for 10 years to be an archaeologist.
So basically your goal in life is to be the queen of the night court.
Yes, exactly. I just need all of it.
I think it's interesting because you talked about how you were that weird kid that sat and read and didn't interact with people. And I mean, I was a little bit that way sometimes. It wasn't 100% of the time. But I think that's part of what got me into reading was that I wasn't a very social person. And reading books gave me something to talk to people about. And like when people had read the same book as me, I could talk to them about that book, like we're doing now. But so it's like Jenna would read a book, so I'd read the same book so I can talk to her about that book. Or my mom would read a book and I'd want to read that book so that I could talk to my mom about it. It was kind of that thing of like, it was a bridge to a social connection of some sort.
I think that's actually how Jenna and I became friends in high school. Did I recommend the Sweep series to you, or did you?
I think we were both
reading
I was reading it and you had just been reading it or something, and you saw me reading it, you're like, oh my gosh, this series.
I think that's exactly how it happened. You're right. Yeah.
And then we got into Daughter of the Moon series, which totally took over our lives for a while. I remember I had like half of them and you had the other half, and like I was like, I have to read these. Do you have them? And
they're so good.
So
I want to
good.
reread them though, but I'm scared to reread anything that I read back in the day because I'd read it and be like, oh god.
That's how I feel. It's funny because I was thinking back on like books that I loved as a kid, and like they had this Royal Diaries series, and I was telling you guys about them, and it was like diaries from historical figures, but completely fictionalized. So they had like Cleopatra, and in it, like I think her dad was like assassinated, and she's like trying to like find the assassin to save her life or whatever. Which so they take like historical events and like put a fictional spin on them, and they were written in like diary form, and I loved them. And when I saw them again, I'm like, I want to reread these, and I was like, oh Jenna, you're probably better off not. Like
just keep the memory there.
Keep the memory and don't go that way. But it's funny because Marissa and I are both more introverted and Megan's much more extroverted, so it's like I recommend books to people so that I can talk to them about books, and like same with Marissa, and Megan sees someone with a book and she's like, let me talk to you about that book.
I will hunt you down.
Oh yeah, 100%. I thought about that. I'm like, if I was in Megan's shoes, and which I have been before, and I've seen somebody read a book, I'm like, oh my gosh, I love that book. I'm like, good for them. They're reading that book, and I keep moving on because
I would literally just go up to them and be like, hey, best friend, hello. What do you think? What part are you at? That's anytime I recommend a book or loan a book to someone, I'm always, you have to tell me everything. Every thought through your brain. If you do not, I will be so upset.
Explains our entire year thing that we're doing with our friend Angela, where we all got books and we're reading each other's books and we're annotating, and it was all Megan's idea. So we're making little notes for each other to read as the next person reads the book. So you're like, I must know what's going on in your head.
And anytime I get to a part where you guys have like written something, I'm like, yep. And then I add a little note to it as well.
Oh yeah, I've written same next to someone.
Me too. Yep. Yeah, it's funny though because Marissa was saying, you know, we give each other books to like, oh, something to talk about. And I was just thinking back to it and I was like, I'm pretty certain that's how I've made every single one of my good friends. Like, Megan and I connected over books, and our friend Angela, I can talk to her about books. And even my husband, who doesn't read books, like he does, he reads, but not the way I read. He reads occasionally. We started dating because we worked together, and he picked up one of my books and was reading my book, and I was like, let's talk about it. So to this day, every like person that has been like significantly impacted in my life was also a reader. Welcome, friends. You're now my best friend.
And now you are part of her significant people in her life.
It's all meant to be. It's so wonderful. I literally just adopt introverts. That's how I collect friends.
That's fair.
Not all of my friends are readers. Some of them are, but I just adopt introverts, and I'm just like, hey, you're mine now.
You're mine now. I mean, I have friends that aren't readers, but usually they come into my life because of a friend that is a reader.
Oh, yeah.
Like, a lot of my family outside of my husband, like his side of the family, they don't necessarily read a lot of books. But because I've met them through him, they've become part of my life. And he was the person that read with me. And now I have friends that used to be readers that don't read or can't read anymore because they have kids. And I refuse to let that go. So I just find other ways.
Never.
Like, I am not an audiobook person. I never wanted to listen to an audiobook until I had a baby. And then I was like, okay, I can't be staring at my phone, so Kindle's a little hard. And I can't read a book without possibly dropping this giant hardback covered book on my child's head while he's feeding or sleeping. So audiobooks became my go-to of necessity. And I'm like, I will hold on to this in any way I can. So Kindle and audiobook has become my thing now.
Or, your kid will reach up and try to eat your book that you were reading.
Yeah.
Yeah, now he's at that stage where he'll try to eat it. And it's funny because if I really like the book, I want to have it in a physical copy.
Same.
Even though I
Same.
have it on my Kindle or on my audiobook. So it's kind of perfect because I now especially now that Megan introduced me to the Libby app, I don't have to spend money on it. I just get to listen to it, or you can even read it on Kindle that way, I guess. And then decide whether or not I want to buy the book. Also, it justifies when I want to spend a ridiculous amount of money to have a fancy copy that has nice sprayed edges and beautiful things. I'm like, I didn't have to go and just buy the, $20 copy. I have to pay the $40 copy.
But it's special.
It is special. It'll look so much prettier on my bookshelf that I now have to worry about a child pulling down on top of him.
Oh, no.
I like the idea of, in the future, somebody's going to come over to Jenna's house and see her bookshelf and be like, none of these books look like they've been read.
They're pristine.
These are not my reading books. These are my looking books.
I've read them all, just not these ones.
Just not these ones.
Right. Yeah, I always have audiobooks going. Always. I even just driving over here, I was just like, hey, audiobook, let's get it.
It's funny because it used to be podcasts for me. I got kind of sick of listening to, mainly because I'm not a branch or outer person. So I listen to the same music that I've listened to for 100 years, unless someone introduces me to something new. I don't go and find something new. So I get tired of music really quickly because I'm like, I've listened to it all. Marissa and I got into a podcast for a long time. It was just that podcast. And then that broke me into podcasts. And then I was like, okay, I can do audiobooks. Well, actually, what started it is we listened to a podcast called 36 Questions.
Oh, yeah. Highly recommend that. I know this is a book talk, or not a book talk, but a book podcast, but 36 Questions on Spotify is amazing. It's an audio play musical, and it is very good, so I recommend that.
Yeah, but it was the first thing that I listened to that was a story rather than obviously podcasts are kind of stories, and people would tell, we're listening to My Favorite Murder. Who doesn't know of that podcast? But they tell a story about true crime, so I could listen to that. It wasn't like a story. This was a story, and it had a man and a woman playing their parts, and then they'd go into musical stuff because me and Marissa are also musical nerds. So the male lead is Kristoff from Frozen.
Oh, like the voice actor?
Yeah. So it was I'm listening to it, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's Kristoff from Frozen. But you kind of get into it, and I was like, okay, if I can listen to a story, I could listen to an audiobook. I can totally do this. It's fine. And so that's what made me decide, yeah, I can do it. I can listen to it. I can be this person. Although I will say, I like new adults. I like some smutty books. I cannot listen to someone read me smut in my ear. It is
so
not
awkward.
It is not something I can do.
One of my favorite stories is Jenna's coworker. Before I even worked with Jenna, because we worked with each other for a little bit. So Jenna would bring her books into work, right? Because there was a lot of downtime. And she would read through her books. And Jenna likes the smuttier books sometimes. And one of her coworkers, who didn't know what Jenna was reading, decided to just randomly pick up the book and open it up. And just, what did he turn? Beet red?
He turned beet red. It was funny because, so we worked as valet attendants. So there's a lot of downtime between parking cars. It's completely dependent on when someone comes in to park. And so I'd go and hang out in our area. We were hanging out waiting for these cars. My book was sitting there, and I left and took a car, and I came back down, and there's my coworker, and he is beet red and not looking at the book. And I was just like, hi. And he's like, I can't talk to you right now.
Do you remember what the book was?
I don't. I really wish I remembered, but I do remember, he was just like, no, I was not prepared for that. He's like, I now have a completely different understanding of you. I'm like, look, it just happened to be a part of the book that had that in it. That was funny. Speaking of, I have to tell you guys a funny story. I was starting to tell you guys a little bit earlier. My husband knows that we're starting this podcast and we're talking about these podcasts and everything. And he's trying to explain what the podcast is to his mom. And he's like, so yeah, they the beginning of the podcast is like, all right, ladies, take off your bras. It's just like, wait, that's the most guy way to explain this. No, the idea was that we try to get comfortable. We read about our books and like what makes us the most uncomfortable as women? Bras. Bras are awful. Like every woman I know, to get comfortable, first thing happens is bras come off. We should go and talk of just briefly, what book are we reading and how far into it are we? What book are you currently reading?
Oh, what book am I reading? Not school related, because I'm reading a lot of textbooks right now. I started a book called Breaking Legacies, and it's all right.
Who's the author?
Oh, give me 1 second. I can look that up. But it's one of those books where it's like, it's good, but the romance part of it jumps into it really quickly. And it doesn't feel like, I want that like extended, like tension type thing. And like, oh, maybe they will, maybe they won't, even though they will type thing.
Instant
and it's
romance.
like,
Blech.
instantly they're all like, oh, I'm really attracted to you and I really like you. And it's like, okay, I don't like that instant stuff. Zoe Reed is the author.
Oh.
But she does a lot of I think lesbian romances and stuff like that. So, and she pops up a lot on my recommendations. So that's why I gave it a try.
And how's the writing so far?
Writing's good. Like I said, pacing I don't love. Writing's good though.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
I am reading 2 books. Obviously, I always have an audiobook, and then I also have a physical or ebook on hand. Currently, I just started Something Close to Magic by Emma Mills, which is an auto-by author for me. That's one that my friend and I always annotate for each other. And so I just received this book from her, and it is the annotated version that she gave to me. So I'm very excited to start it. I am also, for my audiobook, I think I'm like 90% through The Undertaking of Heart and Mercy. I think I only have like an hour left. And that one's really good. And that one's by Megan Bannon. I like your name, Megan, by the way.
No bias at all.
Yeah. How about you, Jenna?
I am actually reading Sabriel. Megan gave me these. Well, I guess I'm not reading it. I am listening to it because audiobooks. It's read by Tim Curry.
It's the best. It's the best thing ever.
And that is, I mean, it is literally the most entertaining thing.
Tim
Curry's wonderful, and his voice is Mogget. Like,
oh my god, Mogget. Yes.
I died. And I'm really, 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 really close to done. I'm like 93% of the way done. So I'm like almost done with the first book. Unfortunately, I'm borrowing it through Libby, and they're all like, I have to be on hold. So I might have to like read them in like chunks depending on when they are released. So yeah, that's what I'm reading now. And I am missing a little bit like actually visually reading, because I will say I love Tim Curry reading this. It is wonderful. I'm not able to fully get as immersed into the book because it's Tim Curry. Whereas a random person I don't know their voice reading Geekerella was fine.
Right, exactly.
Because I don't know them, so I'm not sitting there going like, Tim Curry. Even though it's wonderful. It is awesome. All right, guys, so we're going to end on a quote here. This is by Mark Haddon. Reading is a conversation. All books talk, but a good book listens as well.
I love that quote. That's so beautiful.
That's a good one.
All
okay,
right,
until next time,
joining.
guys.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Bye.